Welcome to B-Flicks, your gateway to inspiring stories and meaningful conversations. Dive into a world of creativity and growth with our collection of short films, real-life documentaries, and engaging podcast episodes. Whether you're looking for personal inspiration, entertainment, or a deeper understanding of life's journeys, B-Flicks has something for everyone. Visit our website at www.bflix.co.za to explore our content library and subscribe for more updates. You can also connect with us on Facebook at B-Flicks Live. Start your adventure with B-Flicks, where stories come to life. Welcome once again to another episode on the Regen show with myself, Brian, and yep, I am excited to introduce today one of our icons in the community of Toekomsrus in the West Rand of Gauteng, Mr. Gobi Sons. What is it your name? What is your name? Leroy
Gobi.
Leroy Gobi. Yeah. Gobi your surname?
Gobi is my surname.
Oh, Gobi is your surname. Okay, now I understand. So yeah, today we're going to talk about all things fashion. But before we get into that, not necessarily all things fashion, but just about your story, because this is a show where we have real conversations with real people. And I believe I followed you on Facebook. You are quite a real person. Van dat komt by your opinions and how you feel about stuff and all that. So I hope that we will be able to get to a point where people now understand. You have an opportunity to speak for an hour. Now understand the Gobi that we see on social media. But before we do that, give us a background of who Leroy Gobi is.
Sons, yeah, is Leroy Gobi. Born in Tukis. I've always been creative. But I've also always been the black sheep in terms of my views about life. So, yeah, raised by my grandmother, great-grandmother. Father wasn't really there, but eventually, no. Now me and my father have a relationship. Mother struggled with basically alcohol abuse. Yeah, if I may put it that way. So since from an early age, if there's no peace at home, although my grandmother would obviously, she was the symbol of love as cousins. So we were most raised by my grandmother. But I feel like if there was always violence at home, you tend to look for peace in the street, So mostly I've been friends with the same friends for years now.
Right.
So
to quickly go back to the violence, is it like
domestic violence?
Domestic violence.
Violence that comes with alcohol. Uncles fighting. Parents? Not my parents. My father.
Oh, he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't there. My father wasn't around. So my mother was a single mother, but obviously she struggled with alcohol, and I was basically raised by my great-grandmother. Okay. So she was basically the mother and the father.
Oh, so her children used to fight
her children used to fight. There was a lot of us living by my grandmother. We were like 7 cousins.
Yeah, no, and I know.
Understand? Slap op één vloer.
Yeah.
Double size bed.
Sure.
So yeah, man. I've seen that life. I don't want that life for my child. I've realized how alcohol can numb you to the pain that you are causing your kids, and also to the pain that you have experienced as a child.
So now, what I want to ask is, when did you know that this is what you want to do? You are wearing this jacket is beautiful. It's like
Thanks.
Nice, and apparently you made it before the show. Like
on your way here. Ik heb nog niet een jacket gehad. Die goed was in de wasmachine.
This is nice. Ik wil ook die doen. This is nice. Maar vinnige dingen. At some point in your pain of growing up, based on your background that you just shared now, what made you want to do this? Because ons is amper van dieselfde era, I think. at some point when you were supposed to do stuff like this, was it a bit feminine geweest? What made you want to do this?
When I started being a designer was only basically people. When you were a designer, people excluded designers and say, if you are a designer, then you're gay. Understand? That was what people. But I knew I wasn't gay, so I couldn't care less what people say. Understand? I knew I liked women.
Yes.
You know, mense te goed is, man. You know, and you must learn to, as much as we shouldn't judge people.
Okay, where are we now?
Onze zibedi.
Praat ons nog van jouw fashion?
Van die fashion. So, as a fashion, that is known on the men's. Yeah. So. It was seen as you were gay when I started. It wasn't something acceptable to the community. But like I said, there's a lot of things from a very young age that I just couldn't understand why people feel the same way about a certain thing. And I knew, obviously, there's no one that can tell me how to be me. Because I'm the only one that's with myself and in my mind all the time. So
And I think I read one of your Facebook posts where you said, die lang goed wat jy altyd skryf. Where you said growing up you were like forced to follow some rules and you always wanted to know why, which is a good thing because I think our generation is that mindset, and even the na ons is not worse. You understand, with the internet and all that. But I think I get where you're going with this. So can you say that that's why you are still where you are in terms of we're gonna get to that, but your struggles, your ups and downs, how you survived the business side of the love and your passion. Can you say that is the reason why you are still different?
I'm still different because I value my opinion. Because I know, like even us having this conversation, you will never be able to have my view and from my perspective.
Yeah.
So what I have to say is also important, and what you have to say is also important, because I will never see life through your eyes, and you will never see life through my eyes.
Okay.
And the only person that you will ever be is yourself. You cannot be anyone else.
Yes.
And if you are trying to be anyone else, you are doing yourself an injustice.
Yes, so you are Sons.
I am Sons.
Okay.
Sons is actually a name that there was a time when I was very religious, you understand? And it's a name that I got from the Bible, which is one of my favorite scriptures back then. And I would still, take wisdoms from the Bible because I believe personally, for me, God is the truth about everything.
Why do you mean you will still take advice or wisdom from the Bible? Why still? Is there a reason why you're saying it like that?
I don't like to subscribe to. I don't subscribe to any religion.
Oh, okay. Now I understand. Okay.
So when I say it's like sometimes Bob Marley would say something very profound.
Yeah.
And quoting Bob Marley doesn't make me a Rasta.
Okay.
It just means that that man had no point.
Okay, I get you.
So even if I quote the Buddha, it doesn't make me a Buddhist. That man had the point. So I believe along the lines of all these wisdoms and all this wisdom that has been passed on, people have decided to build their own camps of people. Ons is die, julle is die, ons praat net van die, julle praat. So,
okay, so you took that line in the name from
the Bible.
From the Bible.
Nation is waiting upon the full manifestation of the sons of God.
Oh wow.
And I still have that to say that the full manifestation of who you are. Understand? Don't take it in a religious context.
Okay.
Becoming the best version of who you were supposed to be.
Okay.
And why you were created. Because it doesn't matter in what God you believe in. We come from the same one. It doesn't matter what you can believe in whatever you want to believe. But the point of the matter is how we came to this planet and how we came to this earth. We came from the same one.
I think we should have another episode for that specifically. So, because it's literally how you feel about it. Okay.
So,
all right.
Being inspired by the Bible, being inspired by being passionate, having been creative. I've always been creative. I've always been good with numbers. I've always been good with understanding people. Understand?
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where you wanted to fix something? Because I know as creatives, Mike Murdoch said once that when you are frustrated about something that you see in the community, it means that you are given the gift to come with a solution. have you ever had the reason why you do what you do? Have you ever seen like, oh, I fashion like or maybe I can do it better? Was it those moments? How did it come about?
There's many moments like that. There's always been many moments, you know. Like even in terms of fashion, clothing, always buying something and I need to alter it. Then I have to either bleach the jean or tear the jean apart. And I wasn't a fashion designer then.
Okay.
So I would spray on clothes, you know, when I was in school, in high school.
You were not known as one yet.
I wasn't known.
You were
as
already
one.
one. Like, yes, I think.
I didn't know I was going to do it.
Okay.
And the other thing that we must also be, I want to be very careful the words that I use, because sometimes they say just follow your passion.
Okay.
And I think that advice is a bit half-hearted, because we don't speak about all the other people that have followed their passion and they are not happy with what they ended up with.
Okay.
Understand? Because I feel like sometimes with passion, there requires wisdom. Understand? Like sometimes you can be passionate about something that is not in demand, and you must make sure that you first sort out the finance to be able to do what you love. Because sometimes that which you are passionate about, there is no money in it. Like simple example in the pandemic, mensen die katten gesoekie, but now is passionate door katten. People needed masks. I didn't want to make masks during the pandemic.
Okay.
Understand? I'm still a creator. I want to create beautiful stuff, but I made masks the first 3 months, and I made about 100 masks a day. It's like 4,500 a day for 3 months. That's a lot of money, and I use that money to like help me. You know, obviously, eventually, I'm gonna mask gemaakt, and then mask was oral. So I got contract, you know, from companies, blah blah blah. But when I had enough money, I opened up a barber shop, see the need for barber shop, see the need for food. But it's within the creative context, but it's not something that I would do for the rest of my life.
So you're still talking about passion.
Passion.
The way that we should understand it.
The way that I came back to the clothing again is when the pandemic started to, obviously, things got open again.
Okay.
There was no banquets, there was no weddings. People that actually booked me for their weddings, they had to cancel their weddings. I had to refund people. Understand?
Yeah. Okay. So your understanding on passion, like what are you saying about it? Like
passion requires wisdom.
Oh.
Passion requires wisdom.
So your view now was, if somebody can't afford or fund their passion, you should be careful saying follow your passion.
You should be careful, in the sense that
why?
It's very easy to, let me put it this way. It's very easy for me to follow my passion when I had no child. But I was also fortunate enough to be passionate about something that had money in.
Oh.
Understand?
Okay.
So, okay, if you have kids and you want to follow your passion, there's a lot of noodle months where there's no food.
Yeah.
But if you don't have kids and not having that responsibility, Gazi, your passion, do it on the side.
But it still means you're following it.
But you're not fully following it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but follow is follow. Wisdom.
Okay.
Okay. No, I understand that part. Yeah. But it sounded like
Here's another thing. Here's another thing. I forgot the entrepreneur's name. His advice, and to a certain degree I would agree with that also, but I also don't want to say people shouldn't follow the passion, because there's nuances too. Sometimes you need to study the market. If once you become an entrepreneur, I'm a fashion designer, I'm passionate about making clothes. Understand?
Okay.
And as you evolve in your business, you realize there is many layers to your business. You can also incorporate other things that you don't do into your business, but
obviously
you can make money from.
Yeah, for passive income, for all those reasons.
So you can obviously have a proper your credit record. You need to now study those things. You're not passionate about credit record. You're not passionate about finance. You're not passionate about.
So that's where the wisdom comes in.
Yeah, that's where the wisdom comes to realize. Okay. I'm good with making clothes.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to put my books together.
Now I understand what you're trying to say.
So the thing that you want to follow has so many aspects to it for it to become successful.
True.
And even to build a team requires wisdom. Like the people that you will associate yourself with requires wisdom. Because sometimes you're going to unequally yoke yourself with someone in business context when you should not be doing business with them. And then a reputation tarnish your reputation because of what they're about and what they are doing. And then you're not a gangster, but because of your association, people are going to associate you with gangsters, and then you're not going to build the business. You know, sometimes the only people that wants to invest in your business is gangsters.
Okay.
And they want to clean your money, and then it's like
You want to clean their money
they want to clean their money
through
you,
your
and
business.
then you're like hungry. I'm like, am I gonna take the money? Am I gonna taint my character? Am I gonna taint my business? Not to say that you're perfect, but you know, certain
I get you, yeah.
certain things just.
So all these things will come while you follow your passion, but you must be careful.
You must be
That's
careful.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Awesome. I read at some point on your Facebook page that you were supposed to move into your studio with your daughter at some point. How long was that, and how did you come out of that?
You know, I was selecting. I think I was like, obviously after having made so much money in the beginning of the pandemic and investing, saving some money towards, eventually everyone started making masks. There was no money in the mask, so the industry was saturated. And then obviously things are slowing down. There's no banquets, there's no clothing, there's no weddings. People aren't going out, so that people don't see the need to buy nice clothes. So
because we don't know what's coming.
You go back to altering clothes, doing alterations, you know, here and there. You have some money from the beginning. You open up the barbershop. I open up the barbershop. And I started selling food. So selling food from home, but it was slow, man. It wasn't too busy.
Okay.
2 years into the pandemic, I broke up with the mother of my child.
Okay.
So we broke up. She went her way, I went my way, got my place. The child was always living, still today, my child lives with me during the weekend, and weekends they go to the mother, because obviously she works for someone. So I work for myself. So I can drop off the child, I can go and fetch the child. It's easier that way.
Yeah.
But then, while living with my child alone, things started getting very slow now. Like it was hectic.
Yeah.
2 years into the pandemic, realized, hey sons, you need to make a move where you need to cut costs. Because I was we had our place, and I would go to work. I would go to the studio.
So then you pay the rent at the studio.
And then I would basically.
But there was a fee that you were supposed
No, not at the studio. I wasn't paying. I was actually cutting costs because I managed to get a deal from Gap. There was a contract that they were doing.
Okay.
So I was not paying, but obviously I needed to pay my guys that were working for me also.
Yeah.
And where I was renting this house, I was paying.
You were supposed to pay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like,
okay.
I'm gonna cut this 3.5 because this 3.5 is now becoming a lot.
Obviously, yeah.
Moved my stuff. Put in my furniture into a storage, or moved my stuff. Just created a nice setup, kitchen, because it was a big place, man. It's actually small. The studio was quite big, so there was enough space. So just divide it when clients come, and then obviously you are with the clients on the other side, and you're living on the other side. I was living there for like a few months, 10, 11.
Okay.
En mind you me, as een groot garagedier. So als je piet in de middel van die ochtend, de hele wind komt weer in.
Sure.
And then you need to go out, obviously, PM'ers en zulke goedes, but sometimes die kan zijn maag werk. Maar die garagedier op, maar hij stof komt weer in. But it was not nice, but during that moment, my daughter
it was a precious moment.
Didn't see that we are now struggling.
Wow.
You understand? She loved the material because she was still young, you know, playing with the materials, playing with the mannequins.
What is the thing, sorry to cut you off, what is the thing that you learned about the idea of an entrepreneur as a businessman in that time, in those 10 months?
Grit.
Okay.
Grit. You need to have a relentless pursuit. You understand? Because I actually, there was a moment, a brief moment, not very long, that I considered going back to the bank. Because I used to work in the banking industry, you understand, for about 6 years. And I wanted to send my CV again to the agencies. And before sons, That time I'm already known as Sons, so I'm speaking to myself as Sons, not as Leroy Kobe. So the minute I say Sons, I'm speaking to that version of me within me.
Awesome, powerful.
You understand? I'm speaking to the spirit within me to say that, yeah, Baba. This thing is the man. Come on.
Sure.
Understand? This thing will blow over, man. And do you really want to go and sit at the bank and you know how you felt when you were working at the bank?
The frustration,
creative, the disrespect some of these managers have. You understand? Because the way let me operate, like that's also another thing. The corporate industry makes managers speak to you like you're some slave, and
I think that's kind of obvious. My situation was, it's unfair towards them because I'm not focusing. Unless you man focus.
They want someone that's focused.
Yes,
exactly.
on my vision change.
Exactly.
And I've got my own thing, and I think that's my last job.
And you're constantly thinking about this thing.
Yeah, so I think that's also the other side of us as creators.
What can you create now? Understand?
We expect that from them.
Exactly. But obviously, I managed to. What I started to actually end up doing is I managed to do a lot of discounts. You know, started selling my clothing for much cheaper. Understand? Just to at least make ends meet. Have specials. Create something that I know. This one, Tim Hogan's would like this.
Okay.
This one, Machozi would like this specifically, without them even asking. Because now you need to risk, and now you need to make stuff, and now you need to make the price also very appealing. Understand? Because that's the type of clothing that I make. I'm very expensive. Understand? Because I am obsessed with details and the quality. I don't like making stuff that I won't be proud of if I see it again in the next 5 years.
No, true. No, every creative is.
But when you start off, you did a lot of, because now you are learning. You're making. It's like when you see your quality of videos that you did way back. It's
definitely.
But I don't also want to remove it. I don't want to remove it. It's a reminder.
Yes.
It's a reminder of how far you
journey.
Exactly. It's a building block. It's a reminder of how far you came.
It's amazing.
It's a reminder that, Sons, there was a time that you didn't know how to make a suit, that you didn't know how to make a wedding dress. Alle wat je kent is a Bijbelzak maken.
Wow.
And then from the Bible bag, t-shirt, and from the t-shirt, denim jeans, from the denim jeans, and all of this is online. Doing an online course, you have YouTube, tutorials, downloading PDF files, making my own clothes apart, ripping my own clothes apart to see like the pattern, what goes into a suit, how to make pockets, how to make a proper bespoke suit. But the internet was good to us. The internet was good to us. Not everyone during the pandemic struggled. Understand? That's also another thing that I realized.
A lot of other businesses boomed because they needed the kind of environment or situation that we had as a global.
Exactly.
Wow.
Even sometimes when there was a time when a friend of mine was also selling alcohol, and he was disappointed that the pandemic came to, because his prices were high. And I'm also part of that. Prices were high because we were taking risks.
There's a lot of examples, and some of them might be a bit sensitive because we lost a lot of loved ones as well. A question I want to ask is, in that moment, did you ever wonder or ask yourself if you were wrong with your opinion, your view about the one God that created us? Did you ever question that a little bit in your silence, if you are able to disclose it?
My idea of the Creator is that He has actually given us free will and dominion.
Okay.
And we are a lot of the pain that you see is man doing it to each other, and not necessarily God.
All right.
And that is why I feel strongly about getting to a point where you can actually protect yourself against human beings that feels like they want to take your right, or they want to colonize you, or they want to be gangsters. Understand? I feel strongly about when it comes to being like, that's why I'm saying like physical strength is just one form of being able to protect yourself, because your body is actually your first weapon. And if you are weak and frail, people tend to bully people that are weak and frail.
Bully in what way?
Bully in the context as op school was, ne?
Oh, like
thing. When you look at a colonizer, there's stages to everything. There's a small colonizers are bullies.
Okay.
Let me put it that way.
Right. Yes.
They are just countries bullying other countries. But in school, die klein colonizers gehad, die bullies in your class. You understand? And they wanted to bully the class.
Yeah.
And they always targeted the weak and people that couldn't stand up for themselves.
So now, is the church doing that to you, in your view?
No. That's what I'm saying. God in, like, not the church. We were speaking about, it's two different things. Me, and this is another thing. When I say I'm not religious, I'm not saying I deny the existence of a creator. That's where people get it twisted. Because religion in itself, it's man-made. You know, people own the copyrights of the Quran or the Bible. There's someone that's getting paid every time you buy a religious book. Understand? There's a business. There's someone, but, and I must be very careful not to sound like I'm trying to eradicate it. Because sometimes you need to see.
Because what I wanted to know was, did you at some point think about the realness of the whole thing? Like like did you try? Was there ever a moment where you were like, "Ek mag dalk verkeerd wees"?
Not really.
Yes or no? Okay.
Not really.
No, it's fine. I understand. Because the reason why I said it's just a small thing that we maybe need to talk about, because we spoke about this before we started recording the podcast, and I really wanted to make sure that you understand that I don't want my questions to sound like you need to now follow what I'm
Convert
doing
in
and
what-
who I am
no.
because I'm known as a pastor and all that, you understand?
No.
But there's a lot of things that you mention about your business, about your approach, about the growth, about all that, you understand? And we know that a lot of those flow from I don't want to use the word religion, but it flows from a higher power, if I can use it like
A
that,
source.
to be safe. Yeah.
Self-awareness.
To be safe, yeah. And then you even used something from the Bible to start your business with. So it's based on the scripture as well, you understand? My situation is I've heard people have their opinions, but this is your second Facebook page, ne? This
No,
is not the,
I've only had this.
was only this one. Because I tried to go through it to look for the posts that you shared like 10 years ago or 5 years
Now
ago.
you'll find them. I won't remove them. I
Okay.
won't remove
So
because
now-
that's what I'm saying. I won't
Yeah.
remove
Okay,
my poor
okay.
product clothes. I won't remove
yes,
my
yes.
my
Yeah.
very
What-
foolish opinions that I had.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute or two. What made you respond the way you responded at some point towards the church?
Things were not.
Like I'm not asking why you're not believing in God, but for some way.
The whole
Maar the
that's
way
the
you
religion.
aangegaan het, yeah, like there was a problem. Did somebody say something to you or what happened?
No.
Oh,
There's many. Let me put it this way. There's many. It didn't happen overnight, Brian.
okay.
It didn't happen overnight. There is many. I'm obsessed with knowledge. I'm obsessed with wanting to understand
it's-
why things
that
is
is
the way
clear.
it is. Understand?
Yeah.
And I didn't just read the Bible. You know, when I was religious, I was very obsessed with everyone that was a thought leader in that space.
Alright.
TD Jakes, whatnot.
Quick one. When you say when you were religious, what do you mean by that? Kerkgeloof. Of what?
A lot of people would think there's a difference between being spiritual and religious, but I'm saying when I was a Christian, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me
Follower of
because
Jesus
sometimes
Christ.
let me followers Jesus Christ. Because sometimes when you say religion, people are like, there's a difference between religion and having a
I don't wanna go
relationship.
there. I can see
When
where
I
you
was
are. That's
Christian.
why I'm not saying that.
When I was a Christian.
Okay.
When I was a Christian,
Yeah.
there was many things that I would question about the Bible. Not even just about what people were saying.
Yeah.
About the Bible, about where it comes from, who owns the copyrights, how these stories are also found.
There's a rechte entrepreneur, die man. Who owns the copyrights?
You understand? And then one of the things is, then I found out the same British that came and colonized us owns the copyrights of the Bible. That's just one reason. So I was like, why would the British that wanted to colonize us give us a book that would free us?
All right.
And then there was many other things. And then I would realize that, okay, there is a beauty to this thing. But a lot of people that believes in it don't want to see the ugliness of it.
Oh.
How religion was also used to enslave people. Understand? And
So this is the struggle
This
that
is-
you had on the inside.
this is a struggle. This is questions I've had. Like the same way of, like if you are a colonizer, and I convince you to give the other chick, don't you think it plays in my favor after I've taken your land for you to give the other chick
Okay.
and not to fight back?
Okay. I hear you.
You understand? If I want to enslave you for the rest of your life, don't you think it works in my favor to make you believe that your richness and your wealth only comes after dying, your heaven, and then you don't see the need to pursue wealth on this earth because to a huge degree you feel like you're gonna inherit, when you die. Most of people believe in that. And another thing.
So those are all the questions that you had.
Questions that I've had.
That you didn't understand.
And you look at your community and you realize we have many churches, but the state of the community doesn't look like we are about God.
Yeah.
We don't look like. Is the people of God supposed to struggle? And why don't we have a problem with this? So I'm like, no man, this doesn't represent the idea of what I about God. Understand? Okay. It's like I'm in church and then we are all praying for work.
Okay.
A pastor closed down a where there was a business to open up a church for people to go and pray for work. Like, there was a business there, dude. What are you doing?
I hear what you're saying. Okay. So now, because Oscar lang praat oor dit, but I just want to quickly get just to a point. Earlier you mentioned that in most cases, especially when it comes to religion, you feel that it's the people that mess up the whole idea, the original idea, that distorts the message. What did you mean by that?
I want to be very clear. Religion is man-made, but within religion, within any religion, look at it. There is principles. There is universal principles that we all share. That is actually ideal to have a lasting relationship with your spouse. Love your wife, love your neighbor, work like the ant. Understand? These are principles. You don't have to be religious to understand that hard work actually pays off.
Okay.
You don't have to be religious to understand that loving the woman that you are with would make this marriage last longer. Being faithful would make this marriage last longer.
Okay.
And it's ideas, and that's what I'm saying. Like
people that actually mess
people.
up the
It's not just people. It's the fact that it's like a school system.
Okay.
Let me use this. I'm trying to use another story. We have a school system.
Okay.
Ons het public school. Understand? Public school means to say, as long as you go to school, in the same context, as long as you go to church and pray, do your work and whatnot. But then we need to address the quality of teaching that we get, the quality of education that we are getting. Are we being prepared for the technological revolution that is happening globally in our school systems?
Okay.
So as much as you're at school every day, are you going to study for something that will be in demand, that you can make a living out of? Or are you going to be behind? Then we must wait for the Western world to constantly give us technology. When are we going to lead the technology space? Because we have all the minerals in Africa. We have all the minerals here. But when it in terms of owning the tech, owning the platforms, owning social media, having our own social media platforms, owning our own, because these people can at any time change the algorithm.
That's it.
And then decide, no. Because have you ever asked yourself, like, why is most of the top podcast and YouTubers from the Western world? Is there perhaps an algorithm that favors the Western world's content blowing up instead of African content blowing up, so that they can be seen as the thought leaders? We don't like Mr. Beast. So Mr. Beast is anything what Mr. Beast is doing. Understand? Like, and why is your currency 10 times, 16 times than our currency? So if I have $1 million and I go to the United States, I'm no longer a millionaire. But if you have $1 million and you come here, you can buy it too. Yeah. So the disadvantage of the currencies, the disadvantage of you guys having the tech, the disadvantage of Silicon Valley, like a startup can actually get 100 million. A startup here in South Africa, very difficult. Your startup capital by cap of the what is 50,000. So how
do we bring that back to the question?
The question was, what was the question again?
What was the question?
This is immense.
What? Yeah, the question was, what made you like? Is it the fact that
Yeah.
you're saying that people are messing up the
people are
message
messing up
instead of
the message.
the institution itself or the religious movement itself? So
Uh,
you made an example about
yeah.
school system.
Okay.
Yeah. So I understand all the
Yeah.
examples that you want to use. It's powerful.
Okay.
I just want us to at least stick to.
People messing up religion. It's my idea goes very deep.
Okay.
It's
So
like-
so Christianity doesn't exist for you. Yeah, Avnia. William Jacobs. Yes or no?
I don't. I don't think that's the right question. I don't think that's the right question.
No problem. I don't want to put you on the spot.
The question
soos
should
ek sê,
be-
These are introduction for the
question
regte
should be-
conversation.
The question
jy
should
Silicon
be.
Valley goed te praat.
The question. You know what should the question be?
What is the question?
How do we define the truth?
Okay.
And are we only gonna use the Bible as a
Okay.
reference for the truth?
I get
Are
you.
we gonna deny Buddhism's reference
Okay.
of or idea of who the creator is?
Okay.
Are we gonna deny like all these other
So the
2000?
next podcast, the subtitle will be
How do we define the truth?
define the truth? Okay. sharp.
Because hier's 'n ander ding, Brian.
Ja,
Ek wil net
okay.
voor het gaan, hè. Because as jy klaar jou mind opgemaak het dat
Ja.
die ding, dis die enigste waarheid. Anything outside that thing becomes a lie.
Okay.
And then you have a preconceived belief of to say, this is waarheid. So anyone that says, this a lens. Ek sê jou, dis 'n copy me, bra. Nee, dis 'n lens. Dis 'n copy. Dis 'n lens. Ek glo die. And then anyone that's going against that becomes there's a confirmation bias. So you constantly go into the world to confirm this that
Yeah.
you've already made up your mind.
Yeah.
So in my context, what I did when I was young, and this is where I moved away from. Actually, this is the simplest. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
I was given, because there's many religions, but I was given an apple.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that this apple is the most healthiest fruit there is. And the only fruit there is. And the more I read it, the more I realize there's bananas, there's pineapples. Like I'm speaking in terms of
I
truths,
hear
in
what
terms
you're
of
saying.
beliefs. And I'm like, no man, I had a very ignorant view about life
Okay.
and the truth, because I've already made up my mind to say it. And then I realized, ek is aan dieselfde soos almal wat sê hulle ways, like I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the guy that don't listen to the
Yeah.
Buddha and ask him like, why do you say you are and yours are the way?
All right. Was your family ever is your family still more Christian in terms
Yes,
of
my
values?
father's deeply Christian.
Okay. So are you the only person that feels this way?
In my family, yes.
In your family,
In
I
my
love your
friend
asking.
circle, yes.
Okay.
I've also lost a lot of friends because I think our friendships were built on the religion
Oh.
and not necessarily love.
So those that are hanging out with you are they just looking past that because they might.
Ja, gewoon squeal no and or ietsiekie. You know, yeah, a few debates.
you're
As
right,
long as
so
as long
yeah.
as we do it with
Yeah.
respect, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
Kijk,
debating.
the main thing is, I don't want us to now have an argument, and I don't want my followers to also think that I can't speak and to kind of defend Christianity. No one can do that. Like full niemand kan het doen. You understand? Somebody, if you know you can do it, please contact me so we can have a conversation on my podcast. The main thing is I want to also hear your side of the story, because the reason why we went to this was because on Facebook I realized, okay, there's more to this. This guy is saying all these things, and a lot of people feel like what you're feeling, but they don't do it like that. Especially the people that we know, the Facebook friends in our circles, who will normally see something like to this extent from a weird person that you don't know on the internet, that will say like, church is 1, 2, 3 and 4 in a negative, in a bad way, you understand? Then it will be like, these people are like that. But when you hear Gobi saying it, but we used to go to church together, or we used to be in youth together. So daar is het ek van praat. Is already why we went into this, and I don't want it to look like we have to now talk about it and defend one's opinion about the whole thing. I know what I believe. I know where I stand. I understand my Jesus in what I'm doing and all that. I just want us to have a real conversation, because we need to be as real as possible. A lot of people might also just be in church and still not understand who Jesus is. So where you are is actually a good place It's actually a good
Okay.
place because you are questioning some stuff.
Sorry to interject there, my
Not to tolerate or not to justify some of the things that you might have said or and so on. But what I'm just saying is, ons nodig 'n bietjie die. You understand? Because a lot of
Why
people
are we doing what we're doing?
I understand you. I understand you. All right. We spoke about the idea that people might have distorted the message, and that's your problem, and you still feel like no, there's still a lot of ways and all. And I said we're gonna talk about this properly, but I just want us to have like a conclusion here. What is it that you want your child to at least stand on when you leave the earth?
When you realize how easily people can be deceived and propaganda, you can convince someone about something that they must believe in and then they don't believe it. If there's one thing I would like my child to have, I wouldn't want to tell my child what to think, but I would actually want to teach my child how to think and to see things for what it is. Understand?
Okay.
Like when I say to see things what it is, like if she's in an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
to see it for what it is and not to be delusional and think this guy loves us. She must realize that this guy doesn't love me and I need to make a decision. If she starts a business and the business is not going to be successful, she must be able to see it for what it is. If she finds herself in friendships that is not good for her, if she believes in something, and you must realize when you believe in something and it's like, okay, it's a belief. Just be aware that it's a belief. I think sometimes we want to make knowledge, we want to turn beliefs into knowledge.
So, for example, the child comes to you from school and say, "Oh, Daddy, there was a preacher at our school and he spoke about Jesus and I loved 1, 2, 3, and 4." What would you say to your child, based on what you're saying about?
Based on what I'm saying now is,
Yeah.
Don't just believe anyone, and make sure that you go and read the Bible for yourself. Because I feel like a lot of people that even still today, for many years later, you believe in God, you believe in the Bible, and you don't see the need to immerse yourself in the book. You've never read the Bible. I'm not saying that once you have fully read it, you will understand it. I'm just saying, you say this is the book of God, and you don't want to spend time with it?
It sounds like you read it. Have you read it? Okay.
Many times. I love the Bible is an amazing book.
Okay.
Whoever's behind it understood the psychology and the philosophy of life. Understand?
Okay.
There's wisdom. There's timeless wisdom in Proverbs. There's wisdom in. There's a lot of wisdom that you can get.
Okay. And I'm not asking you there to now check if you read it or whatever. It's just based on what you said about the fact that, okay, you want to say that you're a Christian but you haven't read the Bible. You want to say that you love God but you haven't read it. So I just wanted to get to a point where it sounds like you know how Christianity should be done or should be.
Based on what the Bible says.
Oh.
Understand?
So
Not
you
based on
would
what
go
I
to a
say.
Buddhist and tell a Buddhist, but jy doen nie wat julle boek sê nie.
Exactly. When I'm very careful when I debate with a Christian.
Okay.
That I would use the Bible to convince him about things. Because he uses the Bible as his reference of the truth.
Okay.
And when you speak to an atheist,
And what do you use, Leroy?
personally,
Because you don't have you don't have a problem with all religions, but you don't agree with Buddhism. You don't agree with Christianity. You don't agree with an atheist. What do you believe?
This is what I do.
Okay.
I think in my obsession for knowledge and reading a lot, you end up, it's like business. You end up getting to a point where you have so much books behind you that you can start to connect the dots.
Okay.
Understand? In terms of, okay, I see why people struggle with drug abuse. I've been depressed.
Yeah.
Understand? And I've made sure that I've also tried and read up on depression.
Okay.
Oh, I see what happens when you walk away from a belief. There's a cognitive dissonance, okay? And you read up on cognitive, okay? Because I have built my identity on Christianity when I was a Christian. I've built my life, my friends, my principles. So when I walked away, there was a cognitive dissonance.
That's what I wanted to know. Like, what happened? Were you sitting and you were like,
eventually,
and the following day it changed?
Eventually, after years of of debating with yourself, debating with things about the Bible, the world, where
Okay.
these things come from, mankind's evilness, mankind's way. When there's like movies, not just movies, but they say if you wanna know who's in power, follow the money.
Okay.
Understand? So the same thing is happening in politics. The most, not everyone in politics, I don't say all politicians are corrupt, but politics is a gangster's paradise. Understand?
Okay.
And a lot of people that are
You have an issue with everything.
no, listen.
No, like from
Where there's
from
money, where there's money,
from
and
a I
power.
know better perspective.
Not I know.
I don't know.
But where there's money,
Yeah.
there's certain.
Like I hear the sayings, the lines that I used, the opinions of people. I know that. I can talk my opinion or politics.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is your perspective about everything is pointed to something. What is it?
It's experience.
Go for us. What did you struggle with, Leroy?
Ik like injustice. En ik like leniency.
We like liens.
En
We
ek
like
leniency.
injustice.
En ik like nie die waarheid ken nie
Oh.
about a situation.
But it's not always going to happen like that.
But this is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people. This is my problem. I don't like debating. I said the other day, I'm done debating because I'm realizing.
Yeah. You said that on the 26th of May.
26th
I read
of the
it.
States. I said
Yes.
I'm done debating, man, because I'm realizing that there's people out here that want to tell you about a suit dat hulle nog nooit 'n skipper gemaak het.
Okay.
In die context van, Gazi, put in the research before you want to debate about the Bible. I'm not even saying don't believe in the Bible. I'm saying go and read it for yourself.
Okay.
If you're gonna debate with a mechanic about a car, go figure out how to fix a car before you.
So you must at least have some revelation
Exactly.
in that area.
Because people start with a lack of knowledge.
Okay, yeah.
I know how to make clothes.
So
because
can-
there's a
can-
knowledge
Yeah.
in terms of making clothes.
So in your arguments, the fact that you say you don't want to argue anymore, in your arguments, you've got all the revelation.
No. In my arguments, I feel like this, having gotten to this point, I've done a lot of work.
Oh, you've done a lot of work.
Yeah.
You've gained a lot of
I've
knowledge.
gained a lot
You've
of
read
knowledge.
up a
And
lot.
being so, this is the thing about being opinionated, Brian.
Mhm.
You can't be opinionated and write if you don't read.
Okay.
Understand?
Okay.
And the many because there's so much, pardon me, there's so much BS on the internet.
Okay.
Because-
Have you ever met somebody that agrees with you?
Yes.
That is on your same level? Are there a few of you? Of your species? Sorry.
You know who agrees with me actually? Me and Sam, I share the same views, a lot of the same views with the founder and the owner of the Diary of the CEO.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to all his podcasts.
Okay.
I've been a
Yeah.
listener, and I was like, ek en die man kan lang,
Yeah.
ek en die man kan lang gesels.
That's beautiful. Like we have that, and the reason why I use the word struggle when I ask you the question, that's literally the one thing that we have as human beings.
Struggle.
And the moment we start arguing stuff from how you want to see it happen or how you want to for it to be understood, dan maak die struggle eintlik worse, because we already have a struggle. Like at some point I wasn't where I am today. Do you understand? And I don't want to make a lot about my beliefs and my Christianity and ek wil hê jy moet nou swak lyk vir my followers of wat nie. I want this to be your moment where we hear you and we respect where you are. You understand? Ek wil net die opportunity ook gebruik, if it's okay, that maybe to identify some stuff that we all have, and without me saying that I'm not sure what I believe in. I don't want it to sound like I don't know where I want to be when I talk to you like this. I'm trying to respect you in this moment because I really want you to mostly identify the real thing. Somewhere, somehow, at least just open up somewhere, because it sounds like you got hurt. Why did you say that you don't want to argue anymore? What was your real reason? Are you really done with it?
You know, there's a difference between arguing and like the arguments. When people argue about different beliefs, yeah, that is there's the argue fact is, I feel like, and I got 4 statements are a word that say, I don't have a, I like I like debates. I like engagements. It's because that is how I have sharpened my iron and my ideology and my perspective of life. Because it's a conundrum of many people's books, my experience in it. I can only speak about Christianity and the experience of perspective because I've experienced it. And I can also speak about the Bible from a biblical perspective because I've read it. And I can speak about the culture around it because I've lived in it. You understand? So I'm saying a lot of people, wisdom comes with age. But I feel like when you are obsessed with knowledge and with understanding things about life, and I realize not everyone has that obsession. Not everyone is obsessed with, because I need to understand this. You know, some people are fine with not knowing. And some of us are not fine. And that's where the passion of knowledge comes in. And I feel like when the argument is, when I'm speaking to someone and I realize we have not done the work, je wil oor 'n movie praat waar jy nie gekyk het nie. Gaan kyk die movie. En kom jy terug.
No,
Jy die trailer gekyk.
I think I kind of understand.
Jy die trailer gekyk. So I would like the debate to be with someone that have also done the necessary.
Now, my situation with people that find themselves where you are is there anything else that you can build your belief on? Because you still believe in something, whether you say you don't want to believe in something, you believe in what you don't want to believe in, then you believe that is nog steeds iets in jou own wat voel jy staan op dit. So why are you using the debates to build your belief, to make yourself grow in it, whereby, like Christianity, when we preach the word of God, we preach what the Bible says, and then we focus on lifestyle, we focus on values, focus on love and worthiness and so on, Holy Spirit and alles. But there's some religions and people like yourself that will come and build what they want to stand on in pointing out other issues of others. So don't you have your own doctrine that you can say that, okay, this is my Bible? Because I don't want you to think that I'm saying you must have your Bible, you must have your Jesus or whatever you want to believe in, but you're still standing on something. Why can't you build it on what you just believe in instead of throwing it out there? Because now you come back and you say, I believe you argue and so on, because that's how you've been growing in what you stand on. Am I making sense?
I'm gonna try and answer you.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and answer. I hope I actually answer you. Brian, I can speak more about Christianity because I've experienced it.
Okay.
Do you understand? If you get out of a divorce, out of a 20-year relationship, and it didn't work out, what will your reference be for what type of woman you want, what type of woman you no longer want? It will be based on the one that you had before, isn't it? So because my belief system before I actually walked away from all of this was Christianity, the reference I have is that.
Okay.
You understand? I cannot speak about a different reference or someone else's experience when I have walked this walk and I've seen the ins and I've realized there's certain things I'm going to take from this that I still value. And there's other things that I will not take anymore.
Okay.
Understand? I will not give the other chick.
All right. But what is your doctrine?
Will we ever be able to put into words consciousness, like awareness, self-awareness, like how do you define the one behind your eyes viewing life? And sometimes be like, like it, I need.
I hear that.
How do you define? Like, it's so difficult to define the one, like, it's like your taste buds. You didn't choose your taste buds, but your taste buds knows what's tasty. It's like you didn't choose your spirit. You didn't choose your awareness. You didn't kiss Brian like video see.
I don't want you to sound like Steve Compella. Sorry, guys, if you're a fan. I asked you, what is your doctrine?
See things what it is. That's
Okay.
if I have to have
So,
a doctrine.
so your doctrine
my
is
doctrine.
you're
I'm
gonna continue
striving.
arguing,
No, not continue
debating
arguing.
with people.
Learning.
Okay.
My statement was only to avoid the debates, but to still learn. But at the same time, you realize sometimes I feel like I would answer because I'm really passionate about like understanding things, and also not just understanding things, but I would like to bring wisdom to the table.
Okay.
Understand? And I can only bring wisdom by reading a lot and by engaging with people and then realizing, jy said I know you saw a divorce I man. Because you after divorce you found happiness. And then for this person, divorce is not the way. But now you want to make the way divorce. And this person that also got divorced, that found nothing but pain after divorce, say you say, I should have stayed. So what is the right way? Divorce or not divorce? You see where the nuance comes in? Where your self-awareness of what you need to do comes in. So I cannot, that's why I'm saying, the argument always comes when people want to tell me, if I don't go their way, then I'm not going to have a successful life. And I was like, no.
Ons moes dit doen, laat mense net verstaan waar jy is. But when we come back, we'll do that. But thank you so much for your humility, man, and thank you for understanding. You become a spot gesit hier en daar, and I thank you for handling it well.
Yeah, but it was nice.
Ja, man. Kom ons gaan uit en ons doen beter.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Let's become better human beings.
Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe. This is a Regen show with myself, Brian. More episodes to come. Please stay tuned. Hit the notification button and get notified whenever we upload something. Thank you so much.